Hello and welcome to the ICATS video series on setting up the RDS Teacher Module Gradebook for new users. I'm your host, Jared Gleim, and I'm the ICATS educator that works with your building tech coordinator, who is your support person for teachers in your building with RDS Gradebook. This particular video is meant for high school teachers. So if you're an elementary school teacher or a middle school teacher, please back out of this video and choose the appropriate link for your current situation to learn more about your course setup. In this third segment for high school teachers, we're going to see how to take the grading scales we created and apply it in our course setup menu. And by the way, if you're still seeing this pop-up window telling you something about grading scales, that window will go away once we are finished putting in the settings in the course setup. So let's go ahead and get started. And we'll get started by clicking OK on that menu to get rid of it. And I'm going to first click View Edit, come down to Course Setup and click. Okay, so here's our course setup menu. Now there's actually three parts to this menu, and it may not be so noticeable because this is a menu bar right here. Okay, so if you click grade period total, semester total, and drop scores, these are the three tabs. For some reason they don't show as being separate tabs, but you got to make sure that you definitely do stuff in the grading period total and semester total every school year when you get your gradebook set up. So let's start first in our grading period total. First thing we need to do is assign a grading scale, and I'm going to first select my standard grading scale, and what I advise to make things go faster for you, choose the grading scale in your first class you do your course setup in, the grading scale that you're going to use in the most courses. So if I'm going to use my standard scale in all my classes, but I'm going to use my advanced scale in one class, go ahead right now and choose the standard in this particular class that we're in. We'll go back and we'll change the advanced class, and I'll show you how to do that here in just a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and do standard scale, and then we have two options here for calculating our grade for the grading period. We can use total points, or we can base it on a calculation of our categories. So for instance, I got three categories here. Now you may have more categories than what I have, or maybe even less. Let's go ahead and do, I'm going to go ahead and say test worth 30, quiz worth 20, and homework worth 50. Okay? Now as you can see here, this adds up to 100%. Now for some reason, if you're typing this in and it doesn't add up to 100%, don't worry. When you click Save, RDS will tell you if it doesn't add up to 100%. So that way you can go back and correct the error. And then make it right. So click Save. We shouldn't get an error when there we go. So I clicked OK to get rid of that menu. So that's just a way to double check to make sure my percentages are set right. So choose one of your two options here before proceeding. The next section that we see here under the grading period total is this little box right here. And this one is about treat all grading periods in the semester as one continuous grading period. What that means is, for a semester, it's going to take your first grading period in that semester, and whatever the grade is that it ends with, that's the grade the student will begin with the following grading period. So let's say that Johnny ends up with an 85B the first grading period as their grade. The second grading period, their grade will start out with an 85% B. Now this is not a widely used option, so I really stress caution to you if you decide to use this. Some teachers have accidentally clicked this before, and they've emailed in to find out why they've already have grades being calculated at the beginning of their second grading period. If you're finding that this is happening to you, check your course setup and check to see if this box has been selected. If it has, uncheck it and then save to all your grading periods and semesters for your course. The next section here is calculate grade using total from category. What this means is, instead of calculating all my grades based on all my categories, I can tell RDS that even though I have 3 different categories right now in my list, and I have assignments for each of them, I really want it to give the total grade based on a particular category. Okay, so you can even tell it. So you can even take use calculation based on percentage out of the whole equation here, if you just want to have your grade based on just the category. This is also not a widely used option, and the default is do not automatically calculate. So that may be the way you want to stay. Okay, so that's the end of grading period total. Let's now go to semester total. When I click semester total, you'll notice that there is not a grading scale present. So let's go ahead and apply our standard grading scale here. Now, high school does not use total points for semester total. High school uses calculation for semester total. And as you can see here, I'm on a 9 weeks periods here. So I've got grading period 1, grading period 2, and a final exam. For people that are on 9 weeks, you have 40, 40, 20 that you need to enter into this menu. So all 9-week high schools must enter in the following: 40, 40, 20. Bossy's a little bit different. As you know, they're on 6 weeks, so we're going to have grading period 1, 2, and 3. You're going to have to use a combination of 2 27%s and 1 26. So you can do 27, 27, 26, or you can do 26, 27, 27, or whatever you want there for those 3 grading periods. Final exam still work 20, so as long as it all adds up to 100%, you're fine. The drop scores section you need to be very careful with. When you put a number in one of the boxes here for drop scores, so let's say I put in 2 for homework, what I'm telling RDS is to take the 2 lowest homework assignments in my assignments list and drop them. Okay, now this generally is a good thing to do maybe if you want to do that at the end of a grading period. But if you set this at the beginning of a grading period, RDS will drop, for me, my first 2 homework assignments that I put into the system. So I don't want to do that now. Now this is also caused problems because if you enter in a number here and you also choose one of these 2 bottom save options, you are actually applying it across the board to all grading periods and semesters too, which can also cause issues when if grades have already been submitted for a grading period or semester. So just be very, very careful about using this option. My best advice: manually drop assignments if you're really wanting to do it. And generally, sometimes teachers use this. Now, the best way to go about doing it is enter in a number and then click Save Done. Okay, so if you do decide to do this, type in the number, Save Done. Okay, so let's go back and double check everything here. So I've got 0 for all my drop scores. I've got semester, I've got a grading scale, I've got my calculations set up. And let's go back and check grading period total. I've got my grading scale. I have this section all configured. I'm using total points for mine. You can use calculation. I'm checking to make sure nothing funny here is selected if I don't want it. And I'm going to come down to the bottom and I'm going to choose Save for all grading periods, semesters, and all courses. When I click that, a little pop-up screen is going to say, "Are you sure?" I'm going to say yes, because I want this to be applied to all my grading periods and all the semesters for every class that I have. If you don't choose that option, you'll have to go into every class, every grading period, and every semester and set up the course setup, which that can take up a lot of your time. This option here makes it quick and easy. Okay, so I'm done with course setup. I'm going to go ahead and click Save Done. Now, we talked earlier about, well, what do I do if I have an advanced class I want to use a different grading scale than my other classes? Well, it's pretty easy. So let's come up here to our course list at the top, and I'm going to come down and choose let's say my English, or my U.S. history is my advanced class. Okay, so once I'm in my advanced class that I want to change the course setup on, I click View Edit, Course Setup, and then I just manually come in here, change my grading scale to my advanced for both the grading period total and the semester total. And then when I come down here to save it, and here's the tricky part. Don't choose the very bottom one, choose the one right above it. So it's going to save it to all the grading periods and semesters for just this course. And so I select that. It's going to say, "Are you sure?" And I click yes. It's going to start working. And then now it's done, and I can click Save Done to get out of the menu. And it's going to work a little bit more to get me back to my home screen here. So this concludes this tutorial on configuring the course setup for high school teachers. Join me in the next video in the series where we'll look at creating